Something special is happening in Carolina right now. After a roaring start to the season, Alexander Nikishin getting his first goal in the last game, the Carolina Hurricanes have quite literally made history with one of their defensemen, and some of the scoring output has the rest of the NHL on notice. We have to dive into some crazy defenseman stats with Nikishin and Gostisbehere, plus much, much more, including how their lines are way better somehow than they even seem on paper. All that coming up on this episode. But Darius, let's just start. I mean, what a morning to be a Hurricanes fan. It's a good morning to be a Canes fan, as the Hurricanes say. They're the only undefeated team remaining in the NHL this season, atop the Eastern Conference. The only team with more points is Colorado, who is 4-0-1. They have the advantage. They played an extra game. Darius, there's so much to talk about here, including some crazy Gostisbehere stats, Nikishin, and even other defensemen, other forwards, so much more. But how you feeling on this morning with Carolina? Because to me, watching this team play hockey now, only one game was even really that close, and that was against Philly. This team looks utterly dominant, and I gotta say, like, something special is going on with Rod Brind'Amour in this locker room right now.
I think dominant is the word. And they're doing so far this season their best LeVar Ball impression. They've never lost, right? They're
Never
just
lost.
they can't lose. They can't lose right now. And they've been unbelievable. And a couple of players in particular, and like you mentioned, Nikishin, you never really know what you're gonna get out of a young defenseman, right? Coming into the league and kind of figuring it out, especially when they have to come over to North America. You never really know. And it's like, okay, maybe he has some offensive output. He has that touch. That's cool. He can add that to the team, and that's gonna be fun. Or maybe they're a really good defensive defenseman. This guy, literally, if you're looking at the stats and the advanced analytics, does everything, Josh. It is shocking. This guy blocks shots. He can score goals, and he got his first one, like you just mentioned. He can play the defensive side of the puck. His gap control is unbelievable. This guy, at this age, literally does everything, and I think that's a great thing for the Carolina Hurricanes, because one thing that I've noticed over the last little while, and again, this is just my personal opinion, this team, I think, was lacking star power, or maybe just a superstar, and they got that last year with Mikko Rantanen, but that was short-lived, of course, and I always felt like they were missing that. But man, looking on paper, some of the moves they've made this year, bringing in younger talent like Nikishin as well, having Gostisbehere, which we'll get into in a second. This team, I think, is a little different and a little special this year. And I think something big is brewing in that locker room. They all kind of seem to believe in each other. You just saw the clip there from Rod Brind'Amour as well. It's the type of coach you want to, run through a wall for. What's your take on some of the other guys on this team? Because again, I thought they were lacking some star power, but I do truly believe something special is brewing here.
Yeah, exactly, right. And all the storylines today are around Gostisbehere and Nikishin, but again, there's the other guys too, like we got to talk about Seth Jarvis. 5 goals in 4 games, again, back-to-back 30-goal seasons the last 2 years, and I feel like people are just almost, not that we're not talking about him, but like yesterday, again, 2 goals, 1 assist. Hurricanes fans, of course, are talking about him, but the rest of the NHL, you're not seeing his name pop up all over social media feeds. It's not that emotional story of Nikishin's first goal, but this dude has been dynamite so far, and again, not just him. I think I have the picture of the whole roster here. Sebastian Aho, again, 6 points in 4 games. Darius, the Hurricanes have 6 different players who have played all 4 games that are still at a point per game. Jackson Blake, too, the young guy who had a great rookie year, coming in with a goal and 3 assists in the team's first 4 games. And, that star power there, it is there with Aho. We kind of knew that was there. Taylor Hall still at the age of 33, like past his prime, but still at a point per game so far. It's the depth in the high-end scoring so far. Again, it's a small sample size. Like, we're not here saying this stuff's going to happen all year. The Hurricanes are not going to end with 6 players with 80-plus points, probably. But right now, these guys are showing that they can take it to that next level. And it's what happens when you have a team built the way they do and a coach that coaches the way Rod Brind'Amour does. When you buy into this system, everyone gets their bit of fame, I guess 15 minutes of fame. I don't know if I want to say that. These guys are all showing up every single night. And I think that just goes to show what's so special about the team.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple of names there. We're talking about Gostisbehere. I can't believe Seth Jarvis, that was a great point that you made, isn't being talked about in, NHL circles, or just isn't pasted out there like crazy. He's having one of the best sneaky good starts to a season. But there's a couple other guys. You mentioned Taylor Hall. Like, this team is so deep. A lot of guys are off to really great starts, but you got Robinson, who looked really good last year in a small sample size when he got, called up. He was playing some time with the team. Stankoven, right? Like, he's going to be a great young player for this team as well. Like, these guys are going to start to get going too. That's why I think this team is so dangerous. They're deep. They're going to get scoring. They're going to get output from different places when it maybe it dries up from the top line, because that happens to every team at certain points. Look at the Florida Panthers last year in the playoffs. They won some of the series because of the scoring from their bottom 6. Their top 6 completely went away. So I like the way that the Hurricanes have kind of retooled on the fly here. Another guy that they added, we didn't even talk about yet, and he's had a strong start to the season, is Keandre Miller. He was, pasted as the bad guy in New York. And honestly, I think he's one of those guys that has all the tools, but maybe doesn't have the best hockey IQ. I do truly believe that. But he has all the tools, and if you know how to manage him properly, he can be a great asset for your team. And I feel like he is being managed properly in Carolina so far. So he's been fantastic too. He's been putting up some points, and not only that, he's a big body. He can play that physical style of game when the playoffs come. When he wants. Sometimes he doesn't do that in the regular season, but seems like it's all coming together for the Hurricanes right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, 40 goal pace for Keandre Miller. We know that's sustainable. I think he could be one of the many 40 goal scorers. No, I mean, that's not going to happen, but you're absolutely right. Like, a lot of these moves, like the Miller move, especially, like, if he keeps up this kind of hot start, I mean, it was more in the first couple games, last few games, maybe not as much, but he still looked decent, right? Like, if he can keep that up, that contract's going to age so beautifully, especially with the rising cap and looking at some other comparables, right? But, again, it's the decor that's really the star of the show here today, Darius. And well, who better to start with than Shane Gostisbehere? Like, what is this stat? Courtesy of the Kane Stats brand, Shane Gostisbehere now has 4 straight games with at least a +2/+- and 1 point in each game to start the season. So at least a +2 with a point in 4 straight games to start a season. He's the first player since Gretzky in '88 to do that. Now, that's just absolutely bonkers. Like, that doesn't even make sense to me, Darius, but it kind of does when you look at, again, his scoring output this season, 7 points in 4 games, tied for the NHL lead with Cale Makar among all defensemen, and Gostisbehere's only played 4 games, Makar has played 5. But when you look at the impact of so many Hurricanes lines, not just their decor, but their forwards as well, you can see why so many guys are showing to be more effective than I think a lot of non-Hurricanes fans or just NHL fans in general would have anticipated coming into the season. They're working well together. This is every forward line and D pairing in the entire NHL sorted by expected goals percentage. Minimum 10 minutes played together, so not much. You can see the Hurricanes have 3 of the top 12. Gostisbehere and Nikishin right up there, 6th on this among all forward and D pairings with an 83.1% expected goals percentage. But I thought, Darius, you know what? 10 minutes is really not enough of a sample size. A lot of these Hurricanes pairings and lines have played more time together. When you sort it by any D pairing or forward line that has played at least 25 minutes together, which I would say is really not that big a qualifier. Significant, yeah. Gostisbehere and Nikishin is number 1 at 83.1% expected goals. Blake Stankoven and Svechnikov's number 2. Ehlers Aho Jarvis is number 3, despite Ehlers really not being off to a hot start. And even Slavin and Walker comes in at number 8. Darius, 4 of the top 8 lines or pairings, forward or defenseman in the NHL that have played 25 minutes together are Carolina Hurricanes. And this, again, just shows, like, this is beyond special. Like, this is something that Rod Brind'Amour has sort of instituted, but these guys are playing out of their minds right now, and there's no reason for me to think that this can't continue, at least to some extent. Maybe not these numbers, for a good chunk of this season, because they are clicking in another way right now.
Well, first of all, that Gretzky stat is mind-boggling because, I mean, it's absurd, and it's Wayne Gretzky, right? And Gostisbehere has gotten off to a hot start, and we know him to be that offensive guy, right? When he wants to turn it on in his entire NHL career, he can be one of the best in the league, and he's showing that he is right now. So he's been unbelievable. And like you just showed as well, in terms of the advanced analytics, this is enough of a sample size at this point. I mean, we're a week and a half, almost 2 weeks into the season, or going to be, I guess, soon into the season, that you can look at some of these, and especially those numbers, which I think are significant. Again, 10 minutes, there's a lot of defense pairings that are being messed around with around the league right now. Like, if you look at the Blues, they're continuously experimenting with their back end. So there's a lot of that going on, but I think these are good enough numbers that you can look at that and go, they are dominating. This is actually domination when they are on the ice, which is almost their entire team at this point. Look at this, right? If you're looking at the top 10 in the league, they are dominating whoever they are playing. And I can play devil's advocate and go, look at the teams that they're playing. Maybe it's the Flyers, and they're not playing the greatest teams. No, like, this is the NHL. The Sabres just put up 8 goals the other night and beat the Senators. It doesn't matter, right? So they are starting very strong. Doesn't look like they want to look back. And that pairing with Gostisbehere and Nikishin, by the way, is Gostisbehere, who is an offensive defenseman, and Nikishin, who's a rookie. This is super impressive, guys. Like, this is really, really good stuff from the Hurricanes so far this year. So I'm maybe turning more into a believer again. Again, I think that they needed some star power, but they're just so deep of a team. And we've seen that, that's proven to work with, the last couple Stanley Cup champions, that maybe they can finally this year get it done.
We believe, right? Like, this team right now, again, it's early in the season. It's a 4-game sample size. I don't anticipate this to be the case the entire season long, but when you have a reasonable sample here and you see how the guys are clicking, yes, you're going to have a rookie wall. Yes, you're going to have certain guys hit cold streaks. You're going to lose some games in a row. It's going to happen, but it's a matter of how you bounce back from those things. And the Hurricanes have done that pretty well. Again, there is that stigma of them not really showing up all the way in the playoffs. That could very well go away soon. The way this team is built after that whole Rantanen fiasco last year, it's really impressive. Leave your thoughts because something special is going on in Carolina right now. While you're down there, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You made it 10 minutes in. You probably aren't subscribed. The numbers show that most of you aren't, but we got videos like this coming every single day on all your favorite teams. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host Darius Domingues. We'll catch you in the next one.